Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, hope you're all doing alright out there. So yes, earlier this week I had a bit of an off, and for the damage to the bike versus the damage to me, I definitely came off worse, but I also got very, very lucky in this. Really lucky, and I'll get into that. So where shall I start with this? I guess I'll just explain what happened, and then explain what happened afterwards, and then I'll show you some pictures. So, I've been riding my XJ6 all week, and the other morning I had a couple of errands to run. I wanted to go to a local hardware store to see if they had a junction box to build a little electrical project in. And I went in there, and they didn't have what I needed. So I was walking out, and I was thinking to myself, walk. Shall I go to Wickes, key ignition of bike? Yeah, all right, let's just go to Wickes. Now, I'm in a car parking space, parked far enough back that I can do a U-turn out of it, because there's no cars around me. Do a U-turn out, and then go out the exit of the car park. You know me, I do full lock turns on my bikes all the time. So with the steering, turn to the left. I'd got on the bike, put the ignition in. The steering moves a little bit at this point. So, you know, I think all is well and good. Some of you are seeing what's coming here. And then I turn out left. I get to maybe 6, 7, 8 miles an hour, something like that. You know, a reasonable pull away and turn. And then I go to swing it to the right. And it's that moment that the world stands still, and my brain says, you're not on the XJ6, you're on the DR. The DR has a separate steering lock. Yeah, the DR has a separate steering lock. This is why it's got 2 keys on my keyring. It's why in a short recently I showed where one key gets wedged under the handlebars and the other one's stuck in the ignition. You can barely get the key out. People said, why have you got 2 keys on there? That's wrong, you shouldn't do that. It's got 2 keys because it needs 2 keys. So, I forgot to unlock the steering lock, and as I said, I've been riding the XJ6 all week, which is obviously on 1 key, like most of your bikes, I'm sure, unless you've got something a bit older, or a DR. But then your steering lock's probably broken anyway, because a lot of them break. But we're getting sideways here. So, as you can imagine, I'm turning left, try to turn right, instantly realise what's happened. The end result of this was obvious, and, well, you can imagine what happens. You're turning this, you try and go that way, you slightly brake, the bike just flips. It basically took me while I was still on the bike and body slammed me into the ground. Unfortunately for me, I didn't just roll off the bike like I have in, 20, 30, 40 other times I've dropped bikes. Green laning, messing around, I'll drop bikes, might end up doing the splits, I did that once in the snow, but I've never really been hurt by any of these things. Well, on this occasion, the handlebars had obviously hit the ground and they're up in the air. I come down over the top of the handlebars with the hand guard on it, and every single bit of my weight lands on the end of the handlebar right up into me. Now, this was on the inside of my inner thigh stroke next to my groin. In the process of this happening, I'm going to just say the berries were smashed out of the way, thankfully. They were sore for about 18 hours or so, but they were moved out of the way, which was good. The meat took a little bit of bruising, not much, because, as I say, that all got moved out of the way by the handlebars forcefully. I landed on a very thin edge of very hard plastic from the handguard right up inside my leg. So I'm turning left 1 second, I'm like body slammed into the ground the next second, and I'm sat on the floor just going, ow, and I look down and I see my jeans have just been blasted open through the crutch. Now you'll notice there is a bit of a fix in here because these jeans are getting old anyway, so the reason these failed along the seam is probably because they're very old. They just open. Probably didn't make much difference, to be fair. But there you go. I looked down, could see a little bit of blood, and was like, oh God, checked out, as I say, the meat and berries, and we're like, well, they're still there, and they don't feel exploded, so I think we're doing okay here so far. But this is going to hurt in a minute. So got on the bike, unlocked the steering lock. I will say here, when I was on the floor, a guy in a Porsche reversed out, looked at me, and then just drove off, didn't even say, like, you're right, mate, but maybe he thought, he looks okay, he's probably embarrassed, I'll just leave him to it. Fair enough, thanks. But, yeah, so I got on the bike, got home while I still had the adrenaline going. I checked the bike was fine. It's just a drop to the bike, really. So this is why is it a question, is it a drop, is it a crash? Because I kind of dropped the bike, but at about 6, 7 miles an hour, and the resulting injuries are way worse. I get home and I've got a large welt on my leg, which then turns into a large pocket of blood, a hematoma under the skin on my leg. And that's what I'm dealing with at the moment, is a hematoma in my leg. So I'm going to show you some pictures now and explain what happened after this. So here is a picture of the bike. If you're not too squeamish about bikes getting hurt, I'm sure this won't be a problem. Actually, that is it. That is the entire bike, that is the damage on the handguard. And I've got my old plastics on at the moment, which didn't get touched anyway, but it means that the bike is absolutely fine. But it's a supermoto anyway, this is what they're designed to do. Now, if you are squeamish about bruising, swelling on the inside of my thigh, don't look when I say in a minute. I'll say when you to look away and when to look back. So here is a picture of the damage it did to me. Look away now. So as you can see, I have some pretty extreme bruising, and you can't really tell that well, but there is a ton of swelling, including a big pocket of blood. You can look back again now, you can look back again. Okay, so that's what I'm currently dealing with on my leg, and as you can imagine, that is pretty painful. I am slightly concerned I've torn a muscle or something, and that's why there is so much bleeding. Unfortunately, there wasn't, well, came home, looked at it, didn't look too bad, didn't think too much of it, and then this big blood sac basically appeared, and I thought, oh, okay, it's a hematoma, probably not an issue, but maybe I'll call 111 and just get some advice and say, you know, what should I look out for with hematomas if they get complications? What should I do to treat it, etc., etc. So I got through after 45 minutes of waiting to like 111, and then I waited for about 10 minutes, and I was speaking to her for about 45 minutes. We were going through questions. She asked me if I had any compound fracture, which is a bone sticking out, 4 times. She asked me if I fell downstairs 5 times. She then asked me, after all of these things, if I had any amputation issues. It was quite clearly she was going through questions and then going to the next set of questions, and it meant that she kept asking the same questions. But this was 45 minutes of me being in a lot of pain, being concerned, talking to someone who literally just wanted to run through the questions. So eventually, she said, I'll get a clinician to call you. So half an hour or so later, a clinician called me. I spoke to her, explained to her what injuries I had, and she went, look, it could be okay, but going on the size of it, it sounds like you could lead to complications with that. So I would rather that you went to A&E and had them just check it out. And I'm like, it's kind of annoying because I don't have any way of getting that other than getting myself there. But okay, fine. So I got my gear on. I jumped on my XJ6 because I mean I can ride. It's sore, but I can ride. Rode my XJ6 up to A&E, walked up to the front door, explained the scenario, said 111 had sent me down, and I got turned away at the door. The woman said, well, a hematoma is not serious, so you just have to go to a walk-in centre somewhere. And I'm like, okay, but 111 actually did send me here. And she went, yeah, I don't care, go. Now, to be fair, in a way I'm relieved, because when I looked through the door to A&E, it was full. And it was not only full that the seating was full, there was people sat on the floor, and there was people sat on the floor outside. I would have been there forever. So I came back home, and I've been treating it myself. As I say, it's been a few days. It is going down. The bruising is, obviously you can see it's massively extending out. I've got a couple of lumps there that I'm a little bit concerned about, because is that a bit of muscle or something. I will go to a doctor's surgery or something when I'm more comfortable moving around, or if it hasn't noticeably progressed in the next couple of days. As I say, I've had a serious motorcycle crash before. I've had soft tissue damage, and I know that if you get hit really hard, day 1 doesn't look like anything. Day 2 is a bit bruised. Day 3 is a bit more bruised. Day 4, you start getting like necrosis of bits of skin where it dies off, or it got smashed to pieces, and then you get scabbing, and the swelling takes weeks to go down. I know about this. I've been through it, so I'm not too concerned about it, but I will seek medical advice should I feel that it's not going the right direction or it's not fixing itself quick enough. Don't give me any medical advice over the internet from you in the comments. Trust me, I'm not going to listen to you. You are not doctors, and if you are doctors, I don't know you're a doctor, and you probably won't be giving advice over YouTube without being able to actually look and touch someone anyway, because it's, you know, you can't, it's like trying to say what's wrong with a motorcycle by just listening to it. You can have an idea, but you can't be sure enough to tell someone to go and buy parts. Same as a doctor can't say that's safe and that's not safe. So don't worry about giving me advice, I will do that. But I do need to inform you that I am currently a bit up the creek without a paddle, because obviously I don't get sick pay, I don't get anything like that. I'm going to be honest with you, YouTube money has fallen through the floor in the past few months. So I need to work, and being a self-employed YouTuber means that that's not great. So I need to get back to making videos, but I can't yet. Good news is, I'm putting this video directly onto YouTube, by the way. This isn't onto Patreon first, this isn't delayed. I'm recording this on the 5th of the 9th, so it's today that you're seeing this. And I'm not putting this early onto Patreon because, as they understand, when it comes to something that's time sensitive like this, I need to get that information out there. So you now know. I do have in reserve quite a few videos that I've not released yet, which are on Patreon. I've also come up with a few ideas of videos I can make at home while I'm sat in this chair. So I can make some videos, I can make some content. There will still be content coming out anyway because I've got a backlog for people who just watch on YouTube. But that is currently where I am. Yes, this crash was 100%, without question, my fault. It was 100% dumb. Really dumb, and I will never ever make this mistake again. I've never made this mistake before, and I won't make it again. I've owned that bike, what, like 9+ years? You've seen the thing, I've gone green laning, I've ridden it fast through country roads, I've gone through rivers, I've ridden in snow. I've never been hurt on that bike, badly. Until now. And as I say, was it a crash, was it a drop? It's just really unlucky the way I fell on it. But then again, as I say, it's really lucky that if it had been just slightly over to one side, I wouldn't have a slight cut and some grazing and a big bruise. I would have maybe some smashed objects or torn other things, and I feel lucky. I'll say that much, I feel lucky. So, yes, that is what's happened. I had a stupid off. I got unluckily hurt from it. It's going to take a bit of time to get better. I don't know exactly what I've done yet, but I will find that out. So the next, I don't know, probably 5 videos you'll see come out are made before that happened, and then the videos which people will see on Patreon on YouTube memberships in the next few days are ones that I've made since that happened. So yeah, thank you for your patience. Thank you for your support. If you're a new rider and you've had, you've done something silly and you've come off, don't worry about it. Don't be embarrassed. Look, I've been riding 16 years on the road, I think it is. I've been riding since I was 12, so that's 26 years on fields and stuff. I've been riding most of my life. And even I, after owning a bike for 9 years, can make one silly little mistake, forget about that separate steering lock, and get hurt. I mean, had I just tried to wiggle the bars more, I'd have been like, oh, steering lock. But I just didn't. I was thinking junction box. I was thinking Wix. We're going to Wix. We're on the floor. This hurts. So there you go. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you're new here. Check out my old videos. If you want to support me, you can do that through Patreon or through YouTube memberships or other ways, links in the description. I'll do my best to keep making videos, as I say, hopefully, as long as this doesn't take more than a week or so to get to the point I can get back moving again. I mean, I'm moving to a point because I need to keep things moving, and I know this from having crashes. If you sit still for too long, you're going to cause a big physio problem. But the issue is when I stand up, the blood wants to fill that area again. So laying down with, cold ice packs and stuff on it to get the swelling down and get it to just sort of stop bleeding and settle down is what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to keep waffling if I don't just stop this now. So thanks and bye.